We call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You slammed your chair to you stood up like.
Oh, sorry. I'll ungrease the rollers.
So good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to this edition of the October 5th, 2022 meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Umatilla County. I would like to remind everybody that this is a public meeting, and if you do address the board, do so with your name and address for the record. We are being recorded via audio and visual as well. And with that, I want approval of previous minutes, June 14th and September 7th.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Yes, we needed items 27 and 28. One is a sponsorship for the Northwest Native Economic Summit. The other is a sponsorship for Heritage Station.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And public input and recognition of visitors. If anybody would like to address the board for anything that is not on the agenda, now is your time to do so. Seeing none in the room, anything online?
Nope, no hands up.
Okay, hearing seeing none, we'll move right into our business items. Item number 1 is the enterprise zone agreement with Hermiston 204-A. I'm slow. There we go. Maybe. And Doug, did you want to?
I can introduce it. Good morning. What's before the board, the first 3 items are connected. This is related to development, proposed development within the Greater Hermiston Enterprise Zone. It's identified by the number of acres, so that's what the 204 are in the next one. And then the third item is related agreement as well. The first one is for the 204 acres. The proposed development on this is for a new campus for Amazon Data Services. The developer has proposed to, I have submitted an application for development within the zone, and as a co-sponsor, the Umatilla County along with the City of Hermiston has to approve the agreement with the developer. The terms of that agreement are before the board for approval. There are a number of them that you have seen before with a couple of additions. And I don't know, the zone manager is here and probably can answer those specifically if you want to. But this first item is just for the one development on the 204 acres. And Mark Morgan's here probably to add to that.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. I'm Mark Morgan, Assistant City Manager with the City of Hermiston. As one of the other duties as assigned, the Greater Hermiston Enterprise Zone has appointed me as the Zone Administrator for managing the Greater Hermiston Enterprise Zone. The terms of the agreement on this agreement, as well as the next one that you will see, are very substantially identical to each other. There's only a couple of minor variations, largely just due to the different tax code area that they land in. Also, the terms of these 2 agreements are very, very similar to an existing agreement that we have in place with the same developer already in the Greater Hermiston Enterprise Zone. Again, with several minor differences. The first component is the development. Once they are up and operational, we'll be paying annual fees to the zone, approximately in the range of $5 per square foot for new data center construction for the life of the zone. So this was a minor change from the previous agreement, and the purpose for that was we hope that it helps the develop additional data centers or larger data center campuses here in the area, which end up generating additional revenue to the zone. The second component is an annual fee that they would pay in an amount that would be equal to if they were being taxed regularly on approximately $27 million per year in taxable value. That will index up at 3% per year. The reason why it's kind of an odd number there at 27 is because that's how we're using the original agreement that's already in place that was at 25 and is indexed it up to 27. So that will go up, and the intention with that one, and we'll get into that with your third item before you later today with the disbursement agreement. The intention with that annual fee payment is that the revenues off of that $27 million per value would go to all of the underlying taxing jurisdictions in the proportion of their existing property tax rates that they would have otherwise received. And so, and again, when I say each of these numbers, I'm speaking to each one of the agreements individually. So that $27 million in value, that would be for just this campus, and then the next campus would also be an additional $27 million, for example. So additionally, after that, we have a public safety impact fee that would go to, again, it would be covered later in the later agreement, but the intention would be that that would be directed to Umatilla County Fire District 1. Both of these campuses will be in the UCFD1's service territory. The first year would be $52,000 per year, again index up at 3% per year after that. The next term of the agreement would be the student success fee, and so the student success fee also would be set at $52,000 per year. This is really the only difference between this agreement and your next agreement, because oddly enough, this first campus that we're talking about is physically located within the city limits of the city of Hermiston, but it's in the Stanfield School District. And so on this campus, the Stanfield School District will receive that annual fee payment on the $27 million in assumed value. It was determined that a lot of the impact will also go to the Hermiston School District, so that student success fee is intended to go to the Hermiston School District on this first campus. Then when we hop down to the next campus that we're talking about, that one is not inside of the city limits of Hermiston, but it's in the Hermiston School District. So on this one, on that one, the Hermiston School District would receive that annual fee payment on $27 million of value, and so it was only deemed fair that then on that instance, that student success fee would go to the Stanfield School District. So that's really the only difference between those two agreements there. A major change between these two agreements and the existing agreement is at the request of the developer. They would like to make a community impact fee up front as soon as they break ground on the campuses. They recognize that as they build out, it takes a number of years for these things to really start generating revenue to the zone. So they proposed a $5 million upfront fee payment to the zone for community impacts as soon as they break ground, and that would again be on each one of those campuses. That's not something that we had in the previous agreement, so that's one of the changes there. And then additionally, they have allowed the total value of their campuses to be available for taxation on future bonds. And so that's a major new potential benefit to the community. By adding that total value, not only does it help make the bond payments a lot more affordable for the taxing agencies when they pass future bonds, but also it will help drive down the actual rate to the taxpayers because that value now will be able to be there. If you pass a $50 million bond, you got to make that payment whether your taxable value is here or whether it's here. And so by adding all of that additional value, it ends up driving down that tax rate to all the rest of the taxpayers in those taxing jurisdictions. And so we're excited about that opportunity. Again, that's only for newly passed bonds, and so we anticipate the actual taxable value from these two new campuses probably won't realistically hit the tax rolls until 2025 to 2026, 27 timeframe. So that's a little ways out in the future, but additionally, it's also, I think, beneficial for all of the taxing jurisdictions to really be able to do some long-range planning for, how would they want to actually potentially adopt a new bond. It's not available for current bonds, but it gives those taxing agencies the ability to plan around that. And then additionally, that additional bonding capacity, there is some sideboards on it. It's really only for things like public safety, fire and emergency services, sheriff and policing services, as well as educational and utilities, those types of things. So really some pretty broad sideboards, but that's there on that development. Also, one other thing that I like to point out, I pointed out to our city council last week when they adopted this agreement. Both of these two agreements, if they were adopted, would make this development at full build-out on an annual basis. It would make them more than 7 times the largest payer of either taxes or fees for local government services in the city of Hermiston, just for each one of those campuses. And then also I like to point out the fact that we anticipate the employment from these new jobs. They're going to be high-paying jobs, but they're not on the scale of number or volume as something like the Walmart Distribution Center that has 1,100 employees. Well, the Walmart Distribution Center, they do pay a good amount of property taxes, but those local property taxes have to go to pay for services for all of their employees that, they only spend a certain amount of time at work. The rest of the time they're out in the community. They, get in car accidents. They have calls for service for emergency responses. They have to send their kids to the schools, all those types of things. And so when you look at the amount of property taxes paid on a per employee basis, which is really the impact to local government services, both of these agreements would generate, we estimate, approximately $42,000 per employee per year for funding those local government services. Currently, the next highest payer in Hermiston of those fees is Pioneer Seed at about $3,000 per employee. For contrast, an entity like Shear's Foods, which they paid minimum wage. That's what they paid. They had about 400 employees. All those employees had needs. Their kids had to go to our schools. They made calls for emergency services. In their final year of operation, they paid about $400 per employee. So the amount of local government fee revenue generated per employee or per impact on our local government services is exponentially larger than what a lot of these other developments are that we have. So with that, I'm excited. We had a good opportunity to work with Commissioner Schaefer and county staff on working with the county to develop these agreements, and so I recommend that the board approve it. As far as next steps, as I mentioned, the City Council and Hermiston already approved both of these agreements. As co-sponsors on the zone, we both have to approve those agreements. So.
Maybe this is a better question for Raquel, but do you have the construction schedule or breakdown schedule?
Yeah, I don't really have the ability to speak to that really in detail. A lot of it, I think, just depends on once they get a new big client, they got to start building, as quick as possible. So I do anticipate that they'll be coming online in the next few years, but it's always challenging to say exactly when.
Okay.
You mentioned, thank you for that, Mark. That was a great overview, and I appreciate all the work you put into this. You mentioned a lot of the benefits that are going to be coming to the special districts. I can't help but notice there is a special district that has a very large contingency in the audience today. Chief, I don't know if you wanted to say anything today?
I would.
Yeah, I'd invite you to the podium.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah. Nice little.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Scott Stanton. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Umatilla County Fire District Number 1, 320 South 1st, Hermiston, Oregon. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the current resolution before you today. For the record, we've been here before, and the Fire District is very excited and supportive of economic growth and job creation within the county. We know that's a big deal for our community members to have those opportunities for good paying jobs, family wage jobs. And it's critical that we help to ensure our development of a safe and vibrant community. But I'd be remiss if I did not bring forth some concerns the Fire District has with regard to the continued tax incentive programs, which do not actively support the Fire District's continued growth and success. Our organization is very grateful for the funding that the Fire District that we've been allotted. However, it's not equitable in comparison to some others, meaning the county and the cities that hold the enterprise zones. we're gonna reach a point sooner than later, due to our area's growth, that there will not be enough general fund dollars to keep up with this continued development. Even with our most purposeful efforts, this will have a negative impact on our ability to provide life safety services. We continually work tirelessly to find external funding sources to help ensure our efficiencies and effectiveness. Increased and equitable distribution of funding will allow the district to continue our growth to keep up with demands of service. District 1 provides the paramedic ambulance service to all of West County. The 4 communities of Echo, Stanfield, Hermiston, and Umatilla, and all the rural areas around them. Historically, the fire district has been used to 4 to 5% call increases per year. But starting about 2 years ago, we started seeing a pretty steep climb in our calls for service, and last year alone, they were up 12.3%, which is a record. That's a lot of call volume for our troops, and they're pretty fatigued. For some additional perspective, we ran more than 2,000 calls than Pendleton Fire and Ambulance does. We're a data-driven organization, gentlemen, and with the projected population increases, the economic developments, and our call volume predictions, at some point, again, that general fund will not meet our needs due to these long-term tax incentives given out. What would benefit the organization, however, is open conversations for increased knowledge and understanding as to those allocations of funding and to have a present voice for accountability and equity. I'm not sure that our community is aware that the fire district, especially in speaking for Hermiston and Stanfield, we're 2/3 of the public safety equation. We provide fire rescue and all the medical, first response, and transportation to the hospital. It's our hope that you gentlemen today will see that we're having a strong partnership with us. The fire district is a good deal. We want to be great partners with everybody and to make our region stronger and our county stronger. It's our desire to be a strong and effective collaborator with all our partners as our counties and cities continue to grow. However, without being part of the discussion and the decision-making process to support public and life safety, it makes it difficult to have a strong and vibrant emergency service delivery system. I appreciate your openness to listen to me today and consider the perspectives that I've presented as you work towards these resolutions. And in summary, we've been here before, gentlemen, and the fire district, we're your largest, best trained, busiest fire district, not only in Umatilla County, but all of Northeast Oregon. We have your regional hazmat team, we have a rope rescue team, and we take pride in all our folks of almost 80 people now between paid and volunteers to provide a great level of service to our community members and throughout our mammoth service area. But part of the problem is, we're not included in any discussions on any of this. When you talk about impact fees now, this new one, and I commend Commissioner Schaefer, Assistant City Manager Morgan, what a great deal. I know you put a lot of work, but you talk about impact fees. There's not one mention of those impact fees going to the fire district, not one. We were never invited to anything. I was never included in anything. And when we first heard about this was last Monday afternoon, 5 hours before the city addressed us at their council meeting. And it's frustrating for me. I do have a couple of board of directors in here. It's frustrating for them too that we're just in the dark all the time. So it's frustrating. I hope you can understand that. The bonds aren't retro. It's great for the future, but that doesn't help the big school bond that Hermiston passed. It doesn't help our bonds that we've passed right now. And in closing that, I thank you for your time, and we look forward to a great partnership, but I felt I had to bring these concerns to you publicly. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Comments?
No, I think that it should be pointed out that these conversations are done we don't have our sheriff at the conversations, we don't have other department heads at the conversations. That's what the commissioners, that's their duty for those conversations. And there's a lot of people that would like to be at the table. If everybody that wanted to be at the table to have discussions, it would be chaos, to be honest with you. I understand Scott's, or the chief's, concerns on when the information gets released. I can tell you that the information was released after as soon as the discussions and the agreements were in place. It hasn't been out there for 6 weeks or 8 weeks and no notice. It was brought to the city of Hermiston, and I'm not even sure the ink was dry by the time they got it. So notice will always be short. That's kind of just the world those negotiations are in. So I didn't sit at the table when those conversations were going on, and it would be tough to have all the special districts involved. Do I understand the frustration with that? Yes, without a doubt. But I just kind of leave it at that I trust the partnership with AWS and the county and the city. I think they've done an excellent job being a partner with us. They continue to grow their partnership, their commitment to the communities, and I think that one thing that this bond commitment shows is their longevity in the community. I think that's an offer with a start date that is gonna make some people unhappy, but it's definitely a sign of a commitment from a major low-density, high-value company to our county. So I'll just leave it at that, Chairman.
Thank you.
I'm not normally quiet by nature, but on the advice of council, I am recusing myself from this deliberation.
Okay. With that,
Were there other people that wanted to speak?
I don't know if there was anybody else that wanted to speak on it or not. I think that we got the flavor of the fire districts.
Do you want to speak?
Yeah, I was going to speak on the second round of agreements, but I'm happy to
Okay,
speak now.
I would, but at that point then, I would move for the adoption of order BCC 2022-052.
With the recusal, I will second the motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
None.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I might point out for the benefit of the office, for the audience, my recusal was based upon my daughter's employment with AWS.
Yeah, that would be a direct conflict. So, okay, item number 2, which is very similar to item number 1, the enterprise zone agreement with Hermiston 118, A is an Adam.
So this is basically identical to the terms of the last one, and as with site modifications that Mr. Morgan has already indicated, this is for a different parcel. It's for a 118-acre parcel, still in the same general vicinity, and it's before the board for approval for the agreement based on the application by the developer.
And Mark, I'm assuming everything you said about the first one's going to apply for the second one?
Just because Mark Morgan, Assistant City Manager, City of Hermiston. Since it is a separate item. Yeah, I already covered all of the agreement items, identical terms, with really the only difference on this one being that the nuance between the Stanfield School District and the Hermiston School District getting the student success fee or the annual fee. So.
Just a real quick question, Mark, and those assessment fees are upon breaking ground?
So that's again where the company recognizes that it takes a while from the point that they break ground until the time they have the first building up, and takes multiple years to get there. So most of those fees are linked, well, excuse me, the first fee, the $5 per square foot, that really will grow with the campuses. All of the others will come once they get a certificate of occupancy. But again, to the company's credit, their community development impact fee, that will be upfront once they break ground.
Thank
So,
you.
but that's just a one-time fee.
Yep. Sure.
Okay. Anything else?
Okay.
Oh, I was thinking about the second round of agreements for.
Oh,
for you to
so
tell.
not this one, you're
No,
talking.
but I'm happy to come up now, either way.
can come up whenever you want to.
I think in general, so for the record, Raquel Timmons with Amazon Web Services. I sit on the AWS Economic Development Team. Address for Amazon is 2121 8th Street, Seattle, Washington, 98121, if I'm remembering correctly. And I'm happy to be before you today. This feels like home. I was an urban planner for many years, so I can remember standing at these podiums under many circumstances. But I really want to keep this short just to say thank you not only to you for the leadership in terms of getting us to the place that we are in our agreements, but also the staff and the leadership with the City of Hermiston and the City of Umatilla for the agreements that you will review here in just a second. I believe it's a reflection of a partnership that has been ongoing for many, many years. We haven't had the opportunity to actually construct in the City of Hermiston, but look forward to doing so. But in the interim, the City of Hermiston and its leadership has been incredible partners in collaborating and getting this agreement structure or deal structure to the place that's before you today. And we believe it codifies and reflects the concerns that we've heard from you all about continued participation in some of your infrastructure needs. And so just on behalf of the business, we're really excited and proud of the agreement that you have before you. We are happy we are not in the business of distributing the funds, and that's trusted to you as leaders of the community and figuring out where to place those pockets of money. We are just happy to be here and be a meaningful and integral part of your community fabric. So I really just wanted to get up here just to say thank you. Thank you for the partnership to date, and we're looking forward to our continued partnership in the future.
Raquel, a quick question, and I don't think you can probably answer, but I'm gonna ask it
Okay.
anyway. Do you have an estimated construction schedule on, and which campus you think may drop first, second, third, and fourth?
Yeah, so my understanding is that the applications that are before you, the actual applications, have a start date based on quarter and year. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but they are public information.
They do, yeah.
And so those are right now, to the best of our knowledge, things are changing, our business is changing, but to the best of our knowledge, those are the anticipated start dates for construction.
Kind of the reason I brought that up,
Sure.
Raquel, is it's an aggressive schedule.
It is.
If you look at the dates, I know we have this discussion of long-term. This is a very aggressive schedule.
It is.
And I think that people need to understand that we're gonna see dirt moved, concrete poured in a very, very short period.
Yeah, our hope is to be in operation as soon as possible. And ideally, that means that those investments are coming here sooner, and our fees and pilots are coming to you shortly thereafter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank
No, I appreciate all the work you did on this and your team as well. You guys have been fantastic to work with, and you made it very easy, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
With that said, I would move to adopt order number BCC 2022-053.
Second? Got a motion, second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 3 would be the actual disbursement agreement, I believe.
Yes, 3 and 4 are the same. Number 3 is for the two proposed developments that were just approved. This relates to the agreements between the sponsors, the City of Hermiston and Umatilla County. This is how the fees will be distributed between the two parties. And basically it's equal share. It'll be split 50-50. This agreement is just for the two sites that were approved, and then the next agreement is for a different site.
One of the things I'd like to point out is we always have these discussions of the Latrez, and it's always listed in the paper as Latrez. I think I've had a lot of questions is what does that mean? And the Latrez actually stands for the Long-Term Rural Enterprise Zone Tax Abatement Facility. people have that.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion.
Am I safe in assuming this is a legitimate vote? Because it's only the distribution.
Hopefully it's legitimate.
Oh, you mean that there's
For me
no
to-
conflict? Is that
Yeah,
what you
there's no
mean?
conflict.
I don't see one, no.
Oh, that, I'm like, what do you mean?
No, just there's no conflict. Well, it's only between the city and the county.
I would move to approve and sign the Latrez distribution agreement with the city of Hermiston.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 4.
This is also an agreement with the city of Hermiston, identical to the last one. This is for the one that was approved back in March of 2020. It's for a different site. And at that point, we did not,
138.
we did not have a signed agreement at that point. So now it's before the board for approval. And it's identical to the last one. The fees will be split equally between the two sponsors.
That said, I'll approve, I move to approve Latrez distribution agreement with the city of Hermiston.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 5, enterprise zone agreement with Umatilla, 234A is an item.
Okay, this is another agreement. An application has been received for tax abatement within the greater Umatilla enterprise zone. This is for another campus for Amazon Data Services. It's 234 acres within the city of Umatilla. It is very similar as far as the terms go, with the same breakout for the payments, including the community development proposed fee. And last night, the Umatilla City Council considered this, and it's my understanding that they were approved at that time.
I'd move for approval to adopt order number BCC 2022-057.
I'll second that, I'm assuming you're gonna recuse yourself on this one?
I am, yes.
Okay, so I'll second that. Motion made and seconded, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And along with that approval, there was the agreement with the city of Umatilla for distribution of the sponsorship portion, and as well as, like the city of Hermiston, it was divided 50-50. This next one is for another campus consisting of 212 acres, also in the city of Umatilla, and an application again for the greater Umatilla enterprise zone. Same terms as the previous development and application.
Move for adoption of order BCC 2022-058.
I will second that, so we've got a motion, a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay,
John, do you want to do the,
yeah, that's, already there. Okay, I'm gonna just pause for a minute. We actually missed something going earlier in the meeting. This was, if you could just shut it, there it is. Do I have a letter from, is there a letter over this one? I don't see a letter.
for the employee of the quarter?
Yeah,
No, those are the certificate.
just a certificate, not a letter from, okay.
Yes, that's all there is.
So every quarter we do what's called the employee of the quarter, and at this time, I'm gonna go back and catch this because we missed it earlier in the agenda. This is for July, August, September 2022, the Employee of the Quarter Excellence Award. And the award goes to Daniel Garcilaso Madrigal. And the Umatilla County Excellence Committee was created to acknowledge and commend the efforts of employees who serve the citizens of Umatilla County efficiently and effectively with a focus on professional development and outstanding customer service. In that spirit, the committee wishes to share with you the nomination letter from your peers that awarded this recognition. Congratulations. Oh, it's right here. Daniel has always gone above and beyond to help individuals on his caseload, whether it is to help them meet conditions of their supervision or to get them into treatment so they can get the help they need. Daniel's professionalism, leadership, and willingness to help is admirable and an example to everyone here at UCCC. Congratulations, Daniel. Sorry for the delay, Daniel. I wanted to wait until Dale could be here. As you may or may not know, Dale Primer was on the radio this morning, so we kind of had to pause his portion so that he could be here for this, because that was important to me that he be here. So with that, I think we're going to do photo op. Is that correct? I probably should go to mention that you're also going to get awarded 8 hours of paid time off. Apparently you have to get approval from your supervisor before using it though, so. And just return his voucher with your card and used, so.
And preferred parking, but you gotta park here.
Yeah, you gotta park here.
Sell it to somebody, Dan.
You were gonna get that candy, but it's been here so long, we've impounded it. John?
Oh yeah, and he gets one of our fancy coasters that are made in our HR department, so this is, I haven't seen that one actually, that's nice. It has your name on it, look at that. Oh. So, bag of treats. Keep that away from Dale. You got a really nice coffee or hot cool mug too with the county logo on it. So, and all this stuff goes to you too. Congratulations. I'm trying to take a. What, you gonna do another one?
Yeah.
Oh.
You never know, somebody might have one.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, so there you go. And don't forget that. And is this mine, Melinda, or does this go to him too?
You can have that
You
one.
can have that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We didn't need that. Well, that chair just gets away from you, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a backstop.
Thanks, Dale.
When I heard it was on the radio, I wondered how long it would be.
Speaking of that, you wanna do pay?
What's that?
You wanna do pay? No.
Yeah, I would otherwise.
I'll send Tom.
I heard my name.
With that, we'll go back into our agenda. Item number 7. Wow, we just cleared out the whole room, didn't we? So, item number 7, the PATH project agreement. Thanks for catching this spot. I missed it.
You get it?
No, I got it, okay. Did you want to do that, or do I?
Did you want to take care of that?
I can, yeah, or you, either one of us. The agreement in front of you is an IGA that matches the city of Umatilla, the city of Hermiston, which one? But what it does is kind of codify the agreements and the intergovernment the intergovernment agreement to manage through the city of Umatilla and through the committee, the new PATH project on Lind and Pencil Roads. Do I need to add anything? Okay, I would move to approve the agreement and authorize signing of a finalized document. That means that this document may have a couple of different changes in it, but we want to get it back because we have time limits on the grant money. But in general, the document's final.
Any questions?
Need a second.
Did you want to second that?
Second.
So we have a motion.
Accusing myself.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I think the commissioner's practicing for next year.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
That was good. PATH project lease.
This is part of the last item. This relates to the PATH project. The county owns the property that the path project will be located. It's on Bensel Road, now inside the city of Umatilla. And the proposed lease is for a term up to 5 years. The initial one would be 2 years that cannot be terminated, and then it can be renewed up to 3 additional years. There's not going to be any rent charged. Basically, the city of Umatilla will be taking full responsibility under the terms of the lease for the project.
I move for approval of the lease and authorize signing with finalized document.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So should we not sign this yet then?
Yeah, don't sign anything.
That one,
Just
put on this one.
reprint that page.
Okay.
Well, I just acknowledge we've seen it.
That one will
Okay.
probably do.
Item number 9, code enforcement software.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dan Lanai, Director of Administrative Services. And before you is our proposal to, or a quote, to produce a new code enforcement system for the planning department. And Pro West is the contractor. They are the ones that redid our GIS system that the assessment office is using, and has our new web front end, which allows us to be mobile with their, as they converted everything that way. So this integrates with that, which allows the code enforcement people to be out in the field, get into the map, go ahead and pull up the information and put that violation in, take the pictures. So everything's available now for them to be in the field with this. So it's the same contractor that did the other, and they're adding this additional capability to the system. Our current system's not able to do that. It's all, within our confines of our building. It's not a mobile enabled app in a sense. It's $19,244.72 for that, plus an additional 7,800 hours of more development time if we want on that. Once
Hours or
they're
dollars?
completed with that, we own that software.
Did you say hours or dollars?
Dollars, 60 hours, and, yeah, sorry, I was looking at the hours when I was telling you the number, because it's right next to it, so I apologize. This was something that the planning department, and it's also part of the IT 5-year or plan as we go along to replace this software, and it was in the budget reported, and we're now just moving forwards with that, so.
Is there an annual fee that goes with this?
So what will happen is basically, we will own it, so there's no maintenance cost to it or licensing fee, but we can pay for more development time. And I would say I would budget just for the next year or two, the $7,800 in case we need to, but in the next year, this next year, we'll get an idea if we need to continue that. So there's no requirement to have an annual fee with it. The only requirement is if we want to have extra time to do that. And so we can select to do that or just pay as we go if we want to change.
And then how many people will have access to this, or how many?
There is no
licenses?
limitation on the licensing for it, so.
Because we own it, is that
Yeah.
the reason? And then how many people do we expect to use it?
Probably maybe 2 at the moment, because they usually have somebody in the field. They might have 1 or 2 in the field. It could expand. I mean, I can't speak for the sheriff's office and what they do and stuff, but
Okay.
the ability is there if they want to access it via their tablets that they
Yeah.
have.
Now, you said the sheriff's office, but this is a code enforcement
This is code enforcement.
software.
So I mean, it can be used by other people within our
Okay.
county.
But is it intended for Gina?
It's
Or
intended for
that
her
position?
department.
Her
So,
department.
I can't speak for the planning department, but in the past, we used to have 2 part-time code enforcement
Right,
people.
right.
Then we had 1, and we did a joint with the city, and I'm not sure where they're in the process right now of having a in-the-field officer.
Okay, but you mentioned the sheriff's office, but this is a plan.
You were asking me if more people could use it, and
Oh,
I
I
said, it's possible that if they're in the field, they could use the system
Okay.
and report something in if they saw something.
Gotcha, but it's a it's a planning department expense.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
I was just telling you, as you asked if there was more
Sure.
people, yeah, it could be
Yep.
whoever.
Gotcha.
I don't want
We will put it on each of you. You guys can go out and help be the enforcement officer.
I think we get enough calls.
Yeah.
We probably should have it.
Okay, is there a motion on that?
I would move to approve the purchase of the Pro West system for $19,244.72 plus a $7,800 major tech assistance fee for extra development time.
Second.
We've got a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And next before you is Board Order BCC 2022-056 for the appointment of the Board of Property Tax Appeals officers, Jerry Baker, William Elfering, and Christine Wallace.
Move for approval of the appointments, swap appointments.
Are you recusing yourself again?
No, second.
Got a motion, and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
You're making me multitask.
Currently, I'm not.
That's January 1 thing.
Yeah. Okay, number 11, maintenance payable.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and address that. So this is a payable for the finishing the internal lighting within the new building there and part of the external lighting. There will be some more external lighting, as I understand, as we get over here to light up the rest of that parking lot, the new part of that parking lot.
Oh, good, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Got a motion, and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And I'll go
Motion
ahead.
carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll go ahead and address the community corrections payable too, since they're not here, but it's for the new facility in Hermiston, the re-plumbing of, so they completely gutted the inside of the building and they're moving all the plumbing around, so it had to be cut and new plumbing put in there and moved around, so that's with Merriman's bill there for redoing plumbing.
Dan, real quick, and on the invoice itself, it says 1/3 billing under slab. So is just this a third of the total that's gonna be?
It's my understanding at the moment, I don't have all the information on that building because there was quite a bit of work. They had to do a bunch of cutting and then put in the plumbing and then do the cement work. So I think it's just that portion of putting it in the ground. And then there's gonna be other plumbing once the cement dries and stuff. I think that's how.
We're looking at about another 11,000 coming to.
I can't speak to the whole thing on that, but I'll have to talk to Mark a little bit more on that. But yeah, there's a lot more details involved in that building than originally had.
And that's also being paid back by community corrections too.
Right.
Do they get invoiced as soon as we approve it?
That's
I think it's just paid out of their line item, and so it's actually being taken care of. I believe that Robert behind me here, I think, might be able to answer that question a little better.
Is that just an internal transfer?
Yeah, so it'll all be paid for by community corrections budget.
Approved payable to Rob Merriman Plumbing in the amount of $5,410.53.
Second.
motion, and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Burn ban.
I believe Mr. Walder is on a phone call right now with, regarding our contested case. And Ms. Miller is out of the office. So I guess to address this, I don't know anything about it.
I did
It's-
talk, standard, it's.
It's basically our standard. It's this time of the year that you implemented a burn ban for non-agricultural burning back in July. Due to the improved weather, the department is requesting that ban be lifted effective today at noon.
I think the city lifted their ban last night.
The other jurisdictions, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is they will put out a public, or a
The
public
notice.
information release, yes, public notice. Thank you. I move for approval of the burn ban lifting.
I'm not gonna second it because the conditions haven't changed.
Okay.
So you ought to.
I will second it. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay?
Okay, motion carries. Number 14, truck purchase.
Doug, you've been doing pretty well. You want to
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Fellows, County Public Works Director. So what we have before you today is the purchase of a 2006 International cab and chassis. What this cab and chassis is going to replace is a 91 Kodiak that we've been using for our vegetation management on the roadsides. It's recently developed some mechanical issues. We haven't got complete diagnosis or complete quotes yet, but the closest we could get from Caterpillar was it was going to run somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 for repairs to the fuel system. Surplus Properties happened to have this truck on hand down there when we found this out and we spotted it. So what we're requesting is that the board approve purchase of a 2006 International 4400 cab and chassis from Surplus Properties in the amount of $12,000.
According to the picture, it doesn't contribute to your rainbow fleet, however, it's white.
We've tried to
But I will move for.
clean up our act a little bit.
I'll second, and I also wanted to compliment Tom and his whole team for taking advantage of surplus. I'm a big believer in surplus, and the items that he's picked up in the last 10 months have probably saved the county in the neighborhood of $500,000. So I really, really do appreciate you guys taking the time. I know it's extra work. I know it's a little bit of a scavenger hunt at times, but thank you for that effort.
You got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 15, Harris Park grant.
So, as you know, Harris Park, we're always looking to make improvements. The grant cycle opened up for new projects through Oregon State Parks. What we're wanting to do is both repair and overlay existing pavement, and we're going to want to add some additional paved areas down in the day use area. One of the requirements of the grant is that application is that the board actually do an order that has to be turned in with the grant. So we, with the help of Doug Olson, put together a board order for approval to apply for the grant money for Harris Park.
I'd move to adopt order number BC 2022-055.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Long live Harris Park.
Yeah, no kidding.
Item 16, dispatch training, and I moved too fast.
Good morning, Commissioner. Captain Primer here. Before you is a request for payment for quality assurance and standard operating procedure software and integration from a company called Motivations. We were identified as having those two specific pieces needing to be addressed as soon as possible in the recent efficiency study. Did a little research, found some different things. This was recommended by Chris Fisher, who also did the efficiency study. I just received a updated quote, which came in slightly less money. So I don't know if you need the new figures that we have, which I'm guessing you probably do. It came in for the training and then also our for a year. It's going to be $9,020.56. And then to redo our SOPs, which are extremely outdated, is going to be $34.50. So that brings the total down to $12,470.56 instead of the original $13,582.38.
Could you repeat that number, 12,000, what was it?
$12,470.56.
Thanks, Karen. I would move for adoption, but I'd also like to point out that consulting group and the ending consultation and the report were very eye-opening. I thought that your department got a lot of compliments on your operation mode, and I think that everybody's taking their recommendations seriously. And with that, I would move to adopt the purchase of this SOP software.
Second?
Got a motion and a second, and as long as I don't have to do any of the QA on this, I'm all in favor. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen.
Number 17, creation of position. You've been waiting very patiently for this.
I know. Good morning, my name is Rachel Reynolds and I'm the Director of Assessment, Taxation, and GIS. This feels like a little bit like Shark Tank, that you're asking for money to do something and in exchange you get a % of equity. So we're asking today for, we needed a good laugh through this. So yeah, I'm asking today for a commercial appraiser position, for which you guys would get 5% equity in our department at the end of it. So due to the growth of the county and stuff, we are in need of another commercial appraiser at this point in time.
Is this an outside appraiser?
What do you mean by outside?
Will the position be on the road most of the time, or is it inside?
The commercial appraisers are about 50-50.
50/50, okay.
Where our residential appraisers are out in the field a lot more.
Yeah, gotcha. I just curious. Second?
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Personal property tax abatement.
I'm assuming I'm on next on this one too. So we're asking for the attached accounts to be abated on taxes, as we are not able to collect on these taxes at this point in time or even in the future. Unfortunately, this will make you guys lose equity in our department by 2%.
So we're still 3% ahead?
You're still getting a 3% gain.
I move for approval.
Second?
Got a motion and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Number 19, emergency management workshop. I did see Tom Roberts on, didn't I?
Yep.
Hi, Commissioners. This is Tom Roberts. I appreciate you getting this in front of the Board of Commissioners today. What we're asking for is the Board of Commissioners to approve a contract with a contractor to help us with the coordination of the workshop. The workshop is funded through the Hazardous Materials Emergency Performance Grant Program, which the Board of Commissioners already approved that agreement for the grant funding with the State Fire Marshal's Office. If you have any questions specifically, I believe Lorraine Churchill is also available to speak on some of the specifics.
I've got a couple questions, Tom, and I know I've tried to work through this with you, but my first question is, what is going to be the total cost of this training? You have hard cost in here that equal $26,000.40, which is equal to what the grant request is. But those hard costs don't include any reporting or the contractor expenses, outside contractor expenses, or handouts or information. I mean, we have no numbers here for contractor lodging or meals or anything. What's the total cost of this training?
The total amount of money that we plan to expend is going to cover predominantly travel expenses for the speakers. This is almost like a conference style workshop. The $26,000 is the funds that's provided through the grant to us And the only out-of-pocket expenses that we anticipate to the county is going to be in the soft match category, which is, and so I don't have the figures in front of me, but it's $5,000 and I believe $600, which would be offset by the attendees' wages alone.
Well, maybe Lorraine can help me here. I think she's on.
Yes, sir. Hello. How are you?
Hi, I like your name on your virtual meeting. Cricket Sing. That's pretty good.
My apologies. But that's an old moniker, and I joined ad hoc to support Tom here. My name is Lorraine Churchill, and I'm at 2304 Columbia Boulevard, St. Helens, Oregon, 97051.
Okay, so if I'm reading this right, and again, my name is Commissioner Doran, but if I'm reading this right, you're donating all your time, you're paying for your own hotel, you're paying for your own expenses, and all the handouts that you're gonna supply and any information that you give out, that's all pro gratis, or how does that work?
So I am an emergency manager by trade, and I've been working with Oregon State Fire Marshal since about 2008 in one way or another. I've also worked with Tom for some time. And I have already put on 2 different conferences of this type in which, no, I do not take funding for it, because the entire purpose is to bring in talent from elsewhere, and we share best practices on how to improve emergency communication. So typically there is a charge, but because Tom was able to recruit this grant, all the costs of the conference would be covered by that grant. The grant is also on a reimbursement process only, so the county itself does not have to put out any funds. It would go through an approval process, which we have conducted before with the state fire marshal. So we're familiar with the process, and in speaking with Tom and other folks there with the LEPC, your local emergency planning committee, we kind of described the process, and we've met with the state to make sure everything we're doing is in line with expectations of the state. So the state is familiar with, well, we're familiar with each other, and we know how to submit the correct paperwork to make sure the process goes smoothly. So speakers, travel, lodging, their costs would be covered. The grant would also cover the facility. So we've already spoken with the convention center there, and so they would be covered by the grant as well. So we went through the process with the state to make sure, here's what we're thinking. Does this comply? Do you have any heartache over this? And so we've kind of prepped the skids or greased the skids that way to make sure that we stay fully compliant. If I have asked as the coordinator, organizer, and a speaker, if I would be allowed a fee to cover my lodging, and the state would be okay with that if in fact I'm also a speaker. So if that answers your question, but I'm an Oregon person, so I just need to have my hotel hopefully covered. I'm not asking for anything beyond the hard costs. The grant would also cover the printed materials that we would have sourced locally. So I'm wondering if there's any further question. And I can tell you historically with some of the exercises that we've done with Umatilla County, so we've done a couple tabletops there already. I still volunteer for the Ammonia Safety and Training Institute. That the time put in by people like Tom or people like the LEPC chair and other officers, every meeting, even this meeting, we would list who attended, how much time they attended, and we put that in a report and we send that to the state. And that is part of your in-kind match for the grant program. So is that helping, or am I leaving anything out?
Because I asked Tom if there was going to be a fee for the attendees, and I didn't get a clear answer on that. So maybe you can clear that up for me. Is there going to be a fee for attendees, and what is that fee, and how's that collected?
If there is any fee, it would be for food costs because the grant does not cover meals. So what we've done in the past is we've asked for a $50 ticket fee, and that went directly to the caterer or facility providing the food. So we ourselves do not have that money. It goes to the people supplying the food. That would be the only issue, or the only cost, I should say, for the attendees.
But you just mentioned that you were going to charge a fee to the attendees to cover your expenses.
No, I did not. No. I described that I spoke the grant is covering the travel and lodging and those kind of costs for speakers. So the easiest way to address that is to give them what is basically called a speaker fee, which covers their airfare, their rental car, their whatever they need to get here. It does not, go ahead.
So in that case, you've listed out all the names of the speakers. I don't see your name. So are you a speaker, Lorraine?
I'm at least a coordinator and will MC the event. I wanted to, if it got to a point where we didn't have enough money to cover the key speakers, then I'll forego anything. If it's acceptable and if we have room, it'd be great if I could have a speaker fee so that I don't have to pay for the hotel out of my own pocket. If that doesn't work, then I'll pass on it, as I've done historically.
I understand that 100%. That's what I'm trying to get at. This agreement does not have any contractor expense in it, and I'm trying to nail that down. And the reason is we've had a couple of grants that came through just this year that have cost more than the original grant. It's approval. So I'm trying to kind of get my arms around where we are expenses on this. I've asked Tom, I'm glad you're on, Lorraine. Thank you for your explanations. It still leaves it somewhat murky. What you're asking us to approve is the application for this grant with a total expense of $26,000.40 with our match to be done by soft costs. And those soft costs will be matched by the attendees. Nowhere in here was there a mention of the $50 fee. That was part of the original hard cost. So please follow with me that this is getting to be a little confusing. I'm all for the communication training. Just
sure.
Mechanics just aren't falling together real smooth on this.
So the mechanics are weird if you've not done this before. So I totally understand.
I don't know how I've done it. It's not
so
smooth.
So even if we had signed the agreement already and we're having a meeting right now about it, we could take our time and energy that we've put into this meeting right now, and the cost of our time counts as in-kind match to the project. So there isn't any way we can exceed the $26,000 of hard cost. That $26,000 grant funded money is a reimbursement only process. So let's say that we'll use the convention center as an example, and this isn't accurate, so please don't take it that way, but let's pretend that their fee is $5,000. What would occur is they would send an invoice for $5,000 to myself or the county. I'm working to support Tom because I know his hands are full already. So however that works, we'll sort it out. Then we would submit that invoice, that paid invoice, to the state, and the state would reimburse the county for that $5,000. So the county or myself, however we work that out. And Tom, feel welcome to jump in at any point because I'm just trying to support.
The
$50
invoice line would come through the county.
Okay. The $50 is nothing but the food cost. So it's not, I want to make that really clear. The grant does not cover food. They've been ultra clear about that. So to provide coffee, lunch, dinner, a $50 fee is asked for. And that's just for food. So is that more clear? Because I just want to make sure that part is.
Okay, Yeah. I'm still not totally clear, but I'm gonna move on to the next question. Thanks, Lorraine. Now, that definitely connected some of the dots, that's for sure.
Yeah, we can't go beyond the 26,000. It's not allowed, and that is only to support bringing people to Pendleton and County of Umatilla.
Thank you. I noticed or the majority of the speakers are all international. How does this training, and I read the program, so how does this training interact with local emergencies and potentially Umatilla County disasters?
So the scenario that we're using is completely centric to Umatilla County, and that's part of the grant. The grant requires that we use local information. So what's actually happening is you're having these experts come from all over, contribute to this exercise. We're going to have a hands-on tabletop. So day one, we have presentations. Day two, we might have a couple of presentations, but then we move into a hands-on application of how do you move a message from the local level, and as it expands, how do you then include your region, your state, your federal people? Because if something really goes wrong, you're going to have assets, federal assets coming in to assist. So how do we move through that process? These particular experts are incredibly well-versed and incredibly talented, and they are willing to give their expertise and share that. The beautiful part about all this is as the conference closes out, the County of Umatilla has after action items that it can apply to its plans and improve. And so you're getting the benefit of these experts coming in, working with Tom and his department, working with your county people, working with the city, and we all ideate together and use best practices that have already been battle tested in other parts of the US and other parts of the world. Does that help?
Okay, thank you. That's all I got.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, I don't have any questions either. This time I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I hope you guys will come join us.
And item number 20, post. You okay?
Get about that foot of elevation.
Post-retirement employment.
It's like a pogo stick over here. It keeps going up and down.
What's before the board is a request to continue post-retirement employment for an individual in the finance office. You have provided approval through the end of this year, and the request is to continue that for additional 8 months through September 1st of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
I'm okay with everything except for her leaving. Got a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And 21, finance position.
Commissioners, Robert Paul, CFO. Due to the fact that we are in the process of working through a change in our financial system, and we are anticipating the loss of a valuable employee next September, we request to recruit for that position and double fill it for a period of up to 8 months to allow for training and for our financial system transition. We do have funding available in our software reserve to help in the transition, so that would be at least a source of some funding.
Any questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. ARPA grant payments.
Previously, the board approved a number of grants funded with the ARPA funds for community investment projects within the cities. The request now is to approve payment of those grants for the, it's like 6 entities.
And it actually spells out how much each entity
Yeah.
is getting.
Yeah.
Correct. So,
Move for approval.
Second.
got a motion, a second, all fair the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 23, wireless management services.
This is a request to contract with wireless watchdogs to allow us to optimize the county use of cell phones. The quote is for $3.40 per line per month.
I'll make the motion to approve and wait till the second.
Second.
I think this is something that, I really applaud Robert and Maria for taking this on. I think it's gonna make everybody's life easier and save the county substantial money, not just in the long term, but right away, so.
Now, will every department be on that?
I think we determined which ones that will be on it. I don't know if it's automatically all of them, but it's just up to finance, which ones you want to.
I think it'll be a period of transition. There are carriers that don't necessarily work with this company. So as our contracts expire, we'll have to evaluate what the next step is. But we plan to transition as many of our wireless programs to them as possible.
And this will make your life a lot easier to finance, if I'm not mistaken.
For a lot of reasons. I think probably primarily, and kind of a unique thing with cell phone companies is they'll let almost anybody open an account, but they won't let anybody access it. So we have a number of accounts that we have to rely on different departments to question a bill, or to cancel a phone, or to add a phone.
I'm a perfect example of that. Mine's
So-
to the sheriff's office.
So that should improve that. I also think that their offer of optimizing plans should save us money every month.
Fantastic.
Does this have anything to do with auditing the appropriate use of the phone?
I don't know whether we can do that, but I believe they probably can.
They can, yeah. They can audit minutes, they can audit, you can get a report that, I mean, I used to get reports that were 7, 8, 9 pages long. So, yes, the answer is yes, you can audit the use of the phone.
You know, I had, from past experience, worried about a plan that audits the appropriate use of only certain phones and not all phones.
Yeah.
That could potentially be problematic for us.
Well, you're getting closer to a full audit with what?
Well, I refer to a time we actually had a device on vehicles to determine where they went and when they were used. And it was used inappropriate at a number of occasions.
The vehicle or the device?
The vehicle. And when we went to take action, we lost because we weren't monitoring all vehicles, we were only auditing selected vehicles. So, again, that it could be a question. I'm all for doing it, I just think we need to make sure that when we adopt this, that we adopt it with the concept that we're moving towards making it universal in the county.
That would be my goal.
And I don't think in that respect it has to be immediately all phones, but if we make it very clear that that's going to happen, then I'm fine. Did you want a second?
You had a second.
So,
You
I
have a
think you already
motion and a
did.
second.
Yeah. So we have a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion?
Well, I just want to make sure the motion reflects.
Oh, gotcha.
All fair the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 24, Mackay Creek project support.
This is basically a duplication of the support that the commissioners gave to Mackay Creek on their OWEB grant application. Last year, they were successful in that grant application, and I would move to approve this replication of that for the next grant process.
Okay, got a motion, second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 25, facilities service agreement.
This is part of the pipeline, central pipeline project. The existing electric facilities would not support the use of the planned pumps and other associated equipment. And so in order to get the upgrades, UEC has proposed this agreement so that it would be on a reimbursement basis, that any of the upgrades the project would pay for it.
I would move for approval on this upgrade, and make sure that the minutes note that the expense is not a new expense. This is part of the planned expenses for the ordinance project, and this is just a motion to spend that money. Obviously, right now, probably the only money in that pool is the ARPA funds. So, however Robert works it out, I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Forklift purchase.
This is a request for the board to authorize a request to go out for proposals for 2 forklifts. This is part of the CDBG grant, Community Development Block Grant for the Agape House. This would allow us to determine if the cost for one is there for inside use, so one would be a propane driven and one would be electric. The estimates received were in the range of about $40,000 each.
Now, this comes out of that $250,000.
The grant.
Move for approval.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. New item number 27, the Native American Economic Summit.
I apologize for the timing, but we just received this request from Dave Tubby, who's the Economic Development Director for the tribes, asking us for $5,000 support to the 2022 Northwest Native Economic Summit that's going to be held October 26th to 28th, 2022. So I move for that, and then I'll have a comment.
Second.
I think a reflection of the incredible economic impact tribes have on the county and our many partnerships, that it would behoove us to become a sponsor and participant.
Couldn't have said it better. I mean, they are a fantastic economic partner.
I agree on 100%.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And added item number 28, the Heritage Museum.
It's for a $5,000 contribution from tourism, but Commissioner Dorn, I'll let you speak to that if you'd like.
The Umatilla County Historical Society, I was pretty surprised the other day when I was visiting with them that Umatilla County isn't a member of the Umatilla County Historic Society. And to me, that is one of the strongest county-wide entities that really encompass the heritage that we have, the heritage that's moving forward. Speaking of the tribes, that they do not miss or dismiss any of the cultural history of Umatilla County. It's very well done. It's a very professionally run outfit, and I truly was surprised that we weren't members. And I would move for a membership at the $5,000 level for Umatilla County Historical Society.
I second that, and do point out that it's a tremendous tourism attraction.
It is.
And reflecting our history.
And it, just to add to that, it's a full county participation.
Just a question, this be an annual contribution, or is this a one-time contribution?
The motion was for an annual membership. Now,
I'm not
if
sure.
if we need to bring it back
If we
each
can
time.
do that, I mean,
I think,
it would
However we
it'd obligate a future board, that was my.
Yeah, I
yeah, I think we can only do it for 1 year at a time.
I think that's what we've done with other memberships.
Yeah,
So it's for a membership rather than just a contribution.
Yeah.
okay.
Is that
So
true?
we're okay to,
Once.
he loves it when we surprise him like this.
Well, an individual one is 50. And that's all they have on their website. So my guess, I would move it as a contribution, and then in addition, why don't you say you want to become a member, so it'd be two separate motions.
Perfect. Yes. So let's do the first one as a contribution for 5,000.
Do you have a motion a second?
Yeah, we do have a second.
Okay.
Okay, so, motion's been made in a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye. I would move that the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners become members of the Umatilla County Historical Society.
Second.
Got a motion is second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 It appears that's $100 yearly for a business.
Okay, that's not too much different than the chamber membership, so. Okay, so we have hit all of our agenda items. With that, Commissioner comments, Commissioner Dwyer.
I do. Yesterday, we held a stream bank enhancement, basically a full agency town hall. Was very well attended. Folks from Mackay Creek, folks from the Merck, folks from Echo, one person from the Walla Walla. But what was really impressive was the 7 agencies that attended along with the tribes. And it was a robust town hall. And it accomplished a lot of things. We came up with some suggested solutions. I'll be bringing some back to the commissioners. But overall, I think that the agencies realized the complicated process that each one of those agencies have, and that those complications are multiplied because each one of those 7 agencies, just to put a rock on a bank to save a piece of ground or a house, or to modify the stream into a floodplain, all of those take incredible expense and time, and property owners really got the point across that it's just hard for somebody, even retired folks, to come up with that $50,000 for engineering or $10,000 for engineering, another $10,000 to $50,000 for the permit process, for maybe $5,000 worth of construction. But it was, there will be a follow-up town hall. I think out of all of the abilities that commissioners have, I think to convene that type of town hall, that was probably the biggest, even though it was robust. It was, I think that's one of the biggest benefits since I've been commissioner that I've been able to offer to people that really are looking very, very hard for solutions. And we're getting ready to move right back into winter and spring, and we need to be a lot further ahead than we are today. So I will be bringing back a letter of thank you to the agencies that I'd like to get approved by the commissioners at the next meeting, or however we can get it done. And then even Doug was at the Yuma Birch meeting last night, and I thought that everybody had a very cordial, got a lot of questions answered. Leaseholders were there, property owner wasn't there. But we've got a long ways to go on that project too. I think I was surprised that it wasn't as far along as I thought it was. But BPA was there in strength and supplied a lot of information. We got a lot of good contacts with BPA out of it, and the tribes answered their questions as honestly and bluntly as they could in the situation they were in. So as much as stream bank enhancement and floodplain recovery and floodplain expansion and flooding is not my favorite subject by any means. The ability for the three of us to find solutions for them is very critical, and I think the dedicated time we put into it, the contracting with Kyle Wagner has paid off in multitudes of what we paid him. So those are my comments. I will be bringing back kind of a letter of thank you to the agencies for everyone to sign. And I don't know if I need to bring it back for approval or not. But I would like to thank them publicly for what they did. That's it.
I think I'd be remiss if I didn't comment on the recent allocation that Senator Wyden played an active role in making happen, that will bring us $1 million one year and $1 million the next. And I would encourage the chairman of the board to write a letter to Senator Wyden on our behalf, thanking him for his efforts in making that come about.
I would endorse that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We'd happily do that. And that was, for those that don't know what we're talking about, the U.S. Senate just approved part of the CARES package funding, and Umatilla County is the recipient of $1 million this year and $1 million next year for just a little over $2 million. So,
And I think one of the most important elements of that is the fact that we really made quite a point to the senator about how those kinds of funds are distributed. And I think really emphasize the fact that if the money goes to save them, it somehow gets lost. Whereas if it comes directly to the counties, as we've seen before, then we get the benefit of it.
And I really.
And he's really worked hard on that element.
He has, and I think the chairman of AOC this year, Commissioner Murdoch, plus NACO, have really made that a priority, and that's been great to see, is that local control is a lot better distribution of any funds, but, and policies than at a state or federal level.
anything else? Okay. I would like to point out, both myself and Commissioner Doran were both fortunate enough to attend the General Raymond F. Reese Training Center reading for the base, and that was fantastic. And if you didn't have a chance to go, look up some of the footage that was online. That was, you know, I've always said my favorite thing about my favorite event I've gotten to go to as a commissioner was when they invited me to be a taste testing judge at the Cattle Barons weekend one year. This has surpassed this far and above anything that could ever have achieved. So that was an unbelievable event, and congratulations to General Reese. That's quite an honor, especially having a base named after a living recipient. So, and I believe it was actually even done on his birthday.
It was.
It's quite a birthday present, as one general said. That, and I would want to remind everybody that Monday afternoon, evening, is going to be the City Hall dedication at Hermiston City Hall that the city and the county have partnered with. So there'll be a ribbon cutting at that, and I'm hoping tours and everything else. So that'll be a great event. So I highly encourage people to attend that. And I think it's at 6 o'clock, I believe is the time of that. So, all right, and that's all I have. So with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.